And welcome back to Saturday Agenda. I'm Joe Pinion. We're back now with Congressman Reschenthaler. Congressman, thank you so much again. Obviously, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's happening down in D.C. We've got thousands upon thousands of people in the streets voicing their support for the Trump administration, the work that he has done, the values that we continuously want to uphold moving forward as a nation. What are you hearing on the ground in Pennsylvania, back in your district, and what can would glean from that as far as what's happening down in Washington, D.C.?
Well, Joe, people back in my district are very pro-Trump. It's southwestern Pennsylvania. People care about their jobs. They care about the oil and gas industry. They don't like the lawlessness they see on the street. So, of course, they're very pro-Trump. They also know that he had an incredible first term. You had major wins in foreign policy, crushing ISIS, taking out Soleimani, Iran's military leader. You had huge wins vis-a-vis Israel and recognition with the Arab states. And then, of course, the economy, holding China accountable. President Trump had a very successful first term. So I think that people are encouraging President Trump to exhaust all remedies that are in the court. If that doesn't work, then I think people are lined up ready for a Trump 2024 run.
Well, I think, looking ahead, as you say, we're talking about, obviously, some of the contentious issues that were in this campaign. Joe Biden basically not being able to remember whether he was against fracking or in favor of fracking. It seems as if he's got one plan and the people that handle Joe Biden have another plan. Obviously, that has a material impact on the people living in Pennsylvania and other states like yours. Talk to me a little bit about that impact from a financial standpoint, particularly right now as we potentially deal with another shutdown as a result of this pernicious COVID-19 virus.
Sure. Well, Joe, just the oil and gas issue first. You know, Joe Biden, if he does become president, if he just says, for instance, that he's going to phase out oil and gas and fracking, all investment stops in oil and gas. There are no more cracker plants that will get built in southwestern Pennsylvania, Ohio, or West Virginia. There'll be no more drilling. There'll be no more land leases, because to get a return on the investment on oil and gas, you need those wells to pump for decades, right? So that'll dry up jobs, and it will also impact manufacturing, because you won't have the petrochemicals that are needed to manufacture everything from a car to a cell phone to even articles of clothing. So it'll put a big damper on the Pennsylvania economy and the American economy as well. Now, as far as the lockdowns, we know the lockdowns have negative impacts for economic growth. It's very obvious. I think there's a way that we can protect those that are the most vulnerable, protect nursing homes, protect hospitals, have people that have compromised immune system self-quarantine, but allow America to open up again for business. What we're doing is a self-inflicted wound. There, we could have the best of both worlds. We can protect those that are vulnerable, and we can still grow our economy. Unfortunately, the Democrats have politicized the COVID issue, and they're taking it out, or at least a lot of their policies are putting a strong burden on small business, Joe.
Absolutely. And if you look at what's happening across this country, obviously there were individuals who were boarding up businesses in anticipation of what could have potentially been nights of upheaval in the aftermath of this election. We see right now lots of patriots in the streets of Washington, D.C., peacefully voicing their support of this administration, their opposition to the policies that Joe Biden would like to usher into this country. Talk to us a little bit about what you can do and your colleagues can do down in D.C. To check some of the policies they would like to pass when we start talking about defunding police and other radical agendas coming out of the far left that really are at odds with what the needs and concerns are of people in districts like yours.
Joe, regardless of whether Biden or Trump wins this election, myself and House Republicans will resist socialism at every turn. We're going to resist the far-left policies of AOC, Tlaib, and Omar. When they want to defund the police, we will be there to support the police. When they refuse to call out Antifa and the violence, we will be there to say that Antifa, like the FBI has said, is a domestic terrorist organization. We will be there to fight them. When they want to ban fracking, we'll be there to support the oil and gas industry and the American fracker. What we've got to do is we have to show the American people that there's a clear distinction between the policies of the far left, which frankly it borders on socialism, and those of Republicans. We want to grow the economy, work for personal rights and liberties and freedoms, and a strong American abroad. If Joe Biden wins this election, you're going to see this distinction clearly, and I think that that's why we're going to pick up even more seats in the House. We're going to have a Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, in 22. And in the event President Trump doesn't win this election, I think we're going to have a Republican president, possibly President Trump, coming back in 24. So the conservative movement is on the rise. We have to continue to resist socialism.
Absolutely. And quickly before I lose you, we got, in Pennsylvania alone, I know shifting to state politics, Republicans just had their first female majority leader put in place. Obviously, also, we had the precipitous rise of Republican women in Congress. So talk to us about these kind of tactile shifts that we're experiencing at home, also and down in D.C.
Well, the Republicans are clearly expanding their base. And in the Pennsylvania State Senate, making Kim Ward, my friend, former colleague in the state Senate, and one of my constituents, making her majority leader is very important because it signals that the Republicans are growing our tent. We're growing our base. You had a lot of Hispanic support, particularly in Florida. Support with other minorities was at record highs this election, at least in modern history. So we are the big tent party, and we are going to build a coalition of people who get a shower after they work. We're going to build a coalition of people who want to have jobs for their children and grandchildren. We're going to build a coalition of people who want to put America first and have a strong America abroad. And that's going to be the coalition that wins. We're going to do it with female candidates, with minority candidates, and young veteran candidates. And that's how this party is going to grow.
Absolutely. Well, Congressman, congratulations on winning another term in Congress. Obviously, if you haven't heard it from anybody else, happy belated Veterans Day. Thank you for your service, and hope to have you back on soon.